People, deluded, I'm back again. We might as well speak about some transfer speculation. The first one I will talk about is the 21-year-old Lorient Alexis Claude Maurice. Now, I've seen on Twitter a lot of conflicting reports. People are saying we're close to signing him. We've bidded 18 million. It's been accepted, blah, blah, blah. Accurate reports are now coming out that allegedly we've had a second bid rejected. Allegedly we're going back in for a third. We've actually agreed terms with his camp and stuff like that, and he wants to come to us. It's just a case of agreeing something with Lorient. We've also heard that Lorient will simply accept, quite rightly, simply who bids the most money. And when you're seeing Monaco, Gladbach, Arsenal, West Ham, a lot of teams, it seems like a scramble for the 21-year-old. You can't blame them for wanting to get the highest dollar. I think he's contracted until 2021. For me, I can't understand why people are getting at it. People saying, "Oh, are we wasting 18 million on a striker or whatever?" When we haven't fixed any other areas. And I get it, it's true. But for me, I'd rather take the risk on players like this than players that are, no disrespect, I'll take Carrasco, but I'd rather pay 18 million for unproven potential than for Carrasco. Because yes, you can say Carrasco, for example, and they're two different positions, is Premier League, not Premier League, is European proven and things like that. But we need to go after targets like Claude that present resale value, that can develop before they reach the next level. It could be a dud, people. He could turn out to be a dud, of course. But you can surely get your 18 million back now. Arsenal's different. For me, he presents a good option for the squad. First and foremost, it's clear Emre wants a third striker. It's clear, or someone that can play or step up into that. And I think when you look at how much Eddie was on the bench to not being used, how much Welbeck was used, you can see he's crying out for another striker. I think Emre, if he could buy everything, as well as the obvious winger, centre midfielder, centre half and left back, I think he would love a right back and another striker. But that's just me, and he knows what he can and can't buy. Claude can play a couple of positions. I think because of his eye for goal, or what he's shown in that he scored in 30 odd appearances last season, 14 goals. He needs to repeat that again if he's there. He's shown he can be a striker long term, in my opinion. He's probably best just behind the striker in sort of a creative support sort of striker role. He can play on the flanks in sort of an inside forward left winger sort of role as well. So don't get hung up on statistics. So he's young, he's got time on his side. He's 21, so we need to see a bit more than from a 19-year-old. But he's got an eye for goal. He can develop, and someone that is young and can gel with the rest of the side. I'll be all up for it. Of course, I'll take Carrasco and things like that. But I just feel fans are moaning about Carrasco and how he's not. You're looking at other teams and who they're signing. Fans are moaning at this possibly signing. Fans just want to. Again, there's a lot to moan about at Arsenal, of course, but I feel fans are just moaning for the sake of moaning, people. He's got a good link-up play as well, man. And shout out to Agent Guendouzi for lining this one up if it does happen. On the topic of Carrasco, we've heard everything from he's finalising his last deals and things, finalising the last little bits on his deal. Apparently, he missed a plane yesterday to play for his team in China. Now, it's come out that, courtesy of the Arsenic Twitter account, that he missed his flight and the chance to link up with his team for legit reasons. He was on a connecting flight. I think he had to go from London and go somewhere to go to China. Why he was in London, I don't know. But he couldn't get back in time, so he couldn't play for his team. And that also aids to the rumours that he wants to leave and he's trying to force a move, and it could appear that he's gone AWOL and things like that. But allegedly, Arsenal are assessing. We're nowhere near close to signing. We're assessing all our options. We've been offered him, but there's nothing. It's nowhere near as close as people are talking about, which makes sense to a degree. Completely off topic, but apparently Napoli have bidded 12 million for Benatia. We get 30% of that sale, so that could be some peas coming in of some sorts. Hermoso, the centre-half that we've been linked with, looks to be going to Atletico Madrid and things like that, which means he's out for us. Fraser sounds a bit downbeat on wanting to leave. He said, I don't think anyone will be paying 30 million. If something happens, it happens. If it doesn't, I'm not going to throw my toys and my rattle out the pram, I've got a year left with Bournemouth. If I'm there, I'll give my all. And if I'm somewhere else, I'll give my all. So he's up for everything, people, clearly. What other transfer news have we got? We're looking at a 27-year-old defender in Armando Iso. He plays for Torino. Allegedly, Arsenal officials will meet with them in London next week to talk about the Italian centre-half. I've never seen him in my life, people. Or I have watched Torino, but I haven't. That means when players are not catching your eye and you're taking them in, so I'm not going to pretend to know him, but it can't be any worse than any defenders we've got, really. But bring him into the club, to be fair with you. Yeah, what other reports are there? Apparently, oh yeah, Kimpembe people apparently as well. Kimpembe could leave PSG with the chances of Deluded joining. Arsenal apparently have contacted his father regarding a move. Now, obviously, Emre and Kimpembe, they've worked with each other before. Kimpembe, I think I will take him. He's obviously, I will take him. He's a bit. His concentration annoys me a bit, and he can be frustrating. But I will take him. To be fair, he's better than some of what we've got. Left-footed as well, and resale value and all them things, he comes with it. And if Emery wants him and he's worked with him before, then I think you should give Emery his own players of sorts or whatever. So in regards to the transfer news, people, I think that's it. Let me give it one last browse for you lot, see if we pick up any other news. Sorry for the silence, people. Obviously, I'm trying to. Nah, people, I don't think there's any other news, to be fair, other than Reece Nelson said he wants to come back to Arsenal next season. What has he actually specifically said? After the Euros, I will look to go back to pre-season, do very strong and hopefully play for the team I love in Arsenal. And I've read the rest of the article. He went on to say he hasn't had a conversation with Unai Emery as such, but the technical team said focus on the Euros. Now, on one hand, that's perfectly normal because they just haven't had the time. But on the other hand, you'd like to think Arsenal are in constant contact with him, and the manager would have or could have or should have probably said to him, listen, focus on the Euros, you're going to come back next season. That appears to me that he's kind of undecided, or he's undecided in terms of the plans. You would think he'd be given a fair crack, but this shows me that all options could be on the table in terms of going on loan or staying at the club. And again, one thing that is kind of concerning me, that again it's overstated, and Emery clearly is in touch with the young players, but there's about 3 young players that have said they haven't had a conversation with Unai Emery. It does feel like, certainly since Wenger's left, in that there seems to be the open door policy in terms of academies is gone. Like every player knew they could speak to the manager and things. And for Wenger's criticisms, that's one thing I like about Arsenal, and that's one thing I want to stay. I'm not saying 1,000 youngsters need to play, but certain principles in terms of young players given chances, young players can see a pathway or can believe they can play with the first team and talk to the manager. It needs to be there with my club. Of course, we've got other things to talk about, but I know for a fact, and again, I'm not going to talk too tough, and you don't know me, I don't do this in the know thing, but I know for a fact from reliable people that's a couple of young players that you lot all praise and stuff, and me myself are considering their futures and to a degree could be disillusioned with life. I'm not going to speculate, name drop and things and give you beyond that, people, but trust me, you lot know me, I never waffle and gas and things. Trust me, believe that one for a fact. In regards to this transfer video, there's nothing more to say, man. It's quite a slow day and none of these things are really going to happen. But on that note, people, DG, I'm out. Thank you for watching.